Hey everyone, Blade here, and welcome to my chord build guide where I'll go over her dupes, skill priorities, best weapons, gear sets, team comps, and more to help you utilize this character to the best of her ability if you decide to pull for her. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, Chord has finally made her appearance to P5X, and to be honest, this is the best time to start if you ever want to restart in this game. She is a unit that released in the 2.0 update, and I won't lie to you, this unit has made a huge wake of waves, especially seeing that she has came out with a bang. With this rock and rolling star, she fits in any type of team, whether it's either you needing a little bit of attack buffs, some crit buffs, highlight spamming, and even a little bit of a healing. It's kind of crazy to say so, but these various amount of buffs that she gives out truly does make a giant difference in the game and made a huge era, especially in P5X's past. But now that she's released on the global side of things, we got to go a little bit more into what she can really do. So I'm gonna head straight into her kit explanations so you guys can know exactly what she does. To break things down, Chord herself does a lot, especially inside of the game, where it comes down to buffing damage, highlight spamming, you name it, she most likely does have it. But where everything does begin inside of P5X, it's mainly going to come down to the passive. Her first passive, being called Accent, is where we kind of see a little bit more of its helpful side. Whenever a allied Phantom Thief does use a highlight or even a Thurgy, she ends up boosting their Phantom Thief's attack immediately by 24% for one whole turn. This may sound a little bit lackluster, but if they do have the enthusiastic audience, which is normally going to be on your DPS, this increases that set effect by 1.5x times, which multiplies that amazingly. Gonna get a huge damage buff off of that one passive, but it gets even better just off the passive 2. Passive 2, being called Stroke, pretty much boosts this even more so, but also helps you out supportively with your HP. Whenever a Phantom Thief does use a highlight or Thurgy once again, she's able to boost up their HP by 15% of her attack and a basis of 1,350 of her HP. Any person who ended up using that highlight with the lowest HP ratio is gonna then get some HP back of it, and that's gonna be amazing in order to have a little bit of sustainability. So even if you're taking a huge punch inside of a battle, it's not gonna hurt you too much because she still will have your back in a little bit as a supporter and a healer. So it's really gonna come in handy when you think about it. But with that out of the way, we're immediately going to check out her dupes, seeing this is where a lot of the stuff really revolves into. Now, you guys know me, I'm not a person who really recommends a lot of dupes, but for this character you might want to sit back, relax, and get a chair, because our awarenesses are insanely worth it. Just based off the A0 being called My Light, at the start of the battle, Finale Resonance Activation, this is the skill 3, has a cooldown of 1 turn. Though every time you end up using this said skill, she increases the attack of herself permanently by 20% up to 2 whole stacks. This can add up to 40%, and afterwards of using this, the additional cooldown of the said skill 3 permanently increases by 1 turn up to a maximum of 3 whole turns. So every time you ended up using this, it's going to buff your attack even more so. This is just in the basic hit of having the character, not even including just the dupes immediately, so it does get better. This is something you normally get from the skill 2, and this is going to be prioritized with the ally who has the highest damage inside of the team. And if they are a rebellion or domination role, this is where it's really determined. Once they're under this said status effect, they also get a 15% critical rate increase, which isn't something that she normally gives out. So the A1 is really worth it, but that's only if you're willing to go that extra mile. Then we have the A2, which is Star of Enlightenment. Whenever we do use Finale Resonance Activation, to ever trigger an ally's highlight skill, it will give us a damage increase by 30% for 1 whole turn. Meaning that highlight is most likely going to deal a ton of damage, especially if it's a DPS character. Skipping down to the A4 self-transformation, her highlight effect boosts the duration of the damage bonus extends now up to 6 Phantom Thief actions instead of 4. The highlight energy recovery cap also is increased by 60%, and then the cooldown of other Phantom Thieves highlight decreases by 1 whole turn, really helping you out on spamming. And then we have the big bucks, You My Destiny. This is her A6, where Finale Resonance Activation is immediately unlocked at the start of the battle. But this isn't all. Its cooldown is permanently then reduced by 1 whole turn with a minimum cooldown of 2 turns. And then every time we end up using this said skill 3, all Phantom Thieves damage is increased by 15%, and this can stack up to 2 times, being a huge amount of 30%, and this absolutely is worth it if you got the big bucks. There's not many characters I A6 on my TW, but she definitely was one of them, and I don't regret it one lick at all. But now we went ahead and gone over her dupes, let's go ahead and go over the skill priorities. So starting with CHORD skill priorities, the one thing I can say about her is it's kind of straightforward. You don't really have to think too much on what to upgrade for the character, and I gotta straight up say it right now. The main thing you want to go ahead and go for is going to be the skill 3, then the skill 2, into the combat skills, aka her highlights, in the skill 1. The reasoning that we're doing it this way is because her skill 3 is her main activation for the highlight spam. Then the skill 2 helps you out for at least your buffed DPS that you're going to be going for, following up with that highlight of her own. Skill 1, you still do want to upgrade it. It's very nice to at least deal some damage, but it's not going to be at the top of the list. So surely do try to follow this little signature template right here, and I think you'll be all good. But now we went over the skill priorities, let's go ahead and go over the weapon option. Weapon wise for CHORD, there's one thing I gotta say, and that 5-star is really lovely. Not just for the freaking looks, but man, does it come with some crazy effects. So for some of my people who don't want to go for the 5-star weapon, the 4-star can still be decent. Solo Rock, being the 4-star, increases her attack by 12% up to a 24% max. And then whenever she does use Finale Range Unleashed, aka her skill 3, this increases her attack by 28 up to 52% for 2 whole turns. It's pretty nice to have, but whenever you do have an option of getting the 5-star, it's normally the better thing. And for this supporter, it's no joke. The 5-star weapon, being Shining Star, increases her attack by 30%, and at the start of the battle instantly gives you 40% of your highlight energy. Reason why I say this is such a must-have for a weapon is because that highlight energy is what makes her entire kit go round. The faster you can at least spam your highlights, the better. The other good thing about this 5-star weapon is that enthusiastic fans, aka the one that she is buffing, the attack increases by 15% each time an ally uses a highlight. This immediately can go up to a stack of 3 times, which increases your attack 5% times. So immediately that DPS who's getting that lovely enthusiastic fan buff is going to be stacked on DPS. This isn't something that you would get with the 4-star weapon, so I heavily do recommend you guys to get this 5-star weapon if you possibly can. Although I do see that the A1 for CHORD is very nice, getting an A0R0 character is probably going to be very more worth it for you. So be sure to try and cop the character and get her weapon. But now we went over both weapons themselves, let's go ahead and talk about her best gear set. Going down to the gear sets for CHORD, the thing is with her, she does have one generalistic gear set that's actually perfect, though there are 2 others that she can run. We'll talk about those at the end of this one, so let's start with the main gear set that you want to look for. So if you can see it on the screen, the main gear set that you want to go ahead and go for is going to be the Prosperity and Trust gear set. Reasoning for this is because it does reduce her incoming damage by 8% with just the 2 set, and if you're happening to get the 4 set, which you should be going for it as well, you immediately gain 25% of your highlight chart. This doesn't stack, but it is something that you immediately will have just from entering the battle, meaning you can spam that highlight immediately quicker. But the good part about it is whenever you do pair it with the Trust Universal card, this then allows you to just up the damage of your party members by 8% for 2 whole rounds. And this is anytime they use skills. So no matter what ends up happening, as long as you're putting skills on allies, the damage of all your party members are going to be increased, which is a heavy thing that we love to see. Though there are 2 other sets. These sets are more likely to be at least optional sets, so surely do keep this in mind as well. One of the other optional sets you can go for is the Control and Departure set, mainly because this one allows her to have a little bit more tanky HP while debuffing the enemy, but the other set as well can be Creation and Reconciliation. Reason that you would go for this one is mainly because it helps out your speed and increases her main stats that you do need, such as HP, attack, and defense. Alongside of this, when that does release in the long run, you're then going to have that universal card setup, which is going to increase her damage dealt of an ally with lowest speed, aka giving your attack buffer, or at least your attacker in general, a major buff by 12%, which is always nice to get. Though both of these card sets aren't really the ones you want to go for, they're very situational, so try to stick with the Prosperity and Trust card set. Now we went over this, let's check out their main stats. And I gotta say, her main stats are pretty darn simple to go for. The ones I would recommend is obviously a Healing Effect Moon, seeing that you are healing your allies whenever you do use a highlight. You want to go ahead and go for a Attack Star, helping her out with all of her base stats, and then a HP Planet. You very well can go for an attack planet as well if you want a little bit more attack, though the HP helps her at least sustain herself a little bit more. So I think these would be the better main stats to go for. Then for the substat options, I can definitely say the first things you want to try and go for are her basic stats. Whether it's attack, HP, and defense, definitely go for those the most. But attack and HP want to be at the top of your list. Afterwards, try and maybe go for a little bit of crit rate and defense, and sprinkle in a little bit of speed. The only reason why I suggest a little bit of speed here is because we want to make sure we're able to speed tune her as much as possible, no matter the team that she's going in. As long as she's going before your DPS, this will make it very easy to do any team with her in them. So just make sure she's just a little bit faster than your DPS and you're all good. But now we went over this, let's go ahead and talk about her best team comp. Finally getting to the last part of the video, I do have to say her best teams in general is just any team that needs a highlight spammer. Her whole ordeal for the teams is mainly just to make sure you have a decent sustainability while also providing as many buffs as needed. The more highlights you can get off, the more damage you can deal. The more sustainability you have, the better of course you can do in any side of event, and she makes this noticeable. There's not really a single team that she just doesn't want to be in, besides I guess Yusuke you could say, but even then she does have a little bit of use there. Every team she can really work alongside of pretty darn well, so there isn't a staple team for her. Just try and toss her into one, and if you do like it, it definitely is going to work out for you. But I guess this is just the outcome of a character that truly is a universal unit. But hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It took me a little bit to get this all together, but my editor was able to fit this in his schedule to actually get this done. So I do have to do a shout out to Chills himself as well. You'll see him in the comment section later on, either probably saying chicken nuggets or something else like that. But tell him thank you guys for editing the video, and peace out everybody.